Today, I'm talking to Mike Black, an entrepreneur with a 7-figure business who went homeless to start from scratch and document himself making $1 million again in only 12 months. He paused his business, cut off his network, started with a fake identity, hired a production team to secretly film him, and started with just one set of clothes and a phone. Now, the whole project didn't go as expected. It ended up being the toughest year of his life, and while it was meant to be inspiring, to this day he's getting hated into oblivion, partly because it's the most viewed video on my channel with the most negative comments, and recently he went viral on Twitter, again, with 32 million people seeing his story, and multiple channels, such as CoffeeZilla, covering it as well. You'll see why he and this project is so divisive, because at the core of it is a difficult conversation about whether life is fair or not, whether success is luck or not, how to move past adversity, and also how to deal with a lot of hate online, when literally millions of people are assuming the worst about you, which is what is happening to him right now. This is a heavy episode with lots of nuances and insight into human nature. Give it a full listen, you won't regret it. Let's get into it. Tell me about why you started the $1 Million Comeback project.
I started because, during that time, again, if you remember back during COVID, it was crazy. Like, no one knew what was going on. The world was kind of changing and stuff. And I had friends that lost their jobs. I had people I knew that ran businesses that like half their revenue was gone overnight. And a lot of people they're worried, they're depressed, and talking to them and seeing what their problems were, I realized, if my friends are going through this, if people that I know are going through this, there's a bunch of people that are also going through this. And, I was giving advice to some of these people and kind of felt like a little weird giving advice. Like, I knew the advice would be helpful if I actually followed it, but at the same time, or it could be helpful. At the same time, I wasn't in their same position. Like, our revenue didn't get cut, although it did have an effect on our business initially.
What was your business?
So software development agency. So companies would hire us, we build software for them, which that market went crazy like after the initial COVID. Like, initially it sucked and then it went crazy. But anyways, all this was happening and I was like, a lot of people are going to be going through this. And I'm literally just woke up one day and I was like, holy shit, what if I just went homeless, started all over, started from zero, and tried to build a new business to $1 million? There's going to be a ton of people that are starting over. There's going to be a ton of people that are making big life changes. They're going to do something they've never done before, which is really uncomfortable. It's really scary. This is an opportunity for me to do this with other people and show people, here's what I know how to do. I don't know how to do a lot of things, but there's some things I know how to do, and I can document this publicly, and people can take those things and they can run with it. They can go implement that. If you haven't started a business before, now you're maybe starting a business because you lost your job, you have that time. The goal is to help people with that. And that was the main objective. The other objective, which was a big part of it, but I wasn't considering as much until later, was, and I started learning this, getting DMs throughout the project, is like a lot of people are really, they judge themselves like crazy, and they're really scared of failure, and they think that it's not normal to fail. Like, you look at someone and you're like, someone that's super successful, and you're like, wow, this person can do anything. They're so like, but what you don't know is they failed 1 million times before. You just don't see those things. And they probably do talk about it, just doesn't go super viral because that's not what people tend to see. So people will start something, they'll start screwing up, and they'll be like, I'm such an idiot. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm such an idiot. Well, if you go watch the $1 Million Comeback Project, you'll see I screw up over and over and over again. But like, the way I look at it is like, okay, it's okay. You screwed up. Keep going. Pivot. Keep going. Keep going. So it gave people permission. It's okay to screw up. And like, if I start, say, a staffing agency today, I'm going to make way less mistakes. I'll still make some mistakes. I'll still fuck up, but I'm going to make less mistakes. But I'm still going to make mistakes. And it was kind of normalizing that for people. So
that was the intention.
That was the intention.
Well, looking at it now, so you are the most viewed video on my channel. When I just took your entire project, summarized it, interviewed you, and it's by far the most viewed video on my channel. The most hated video on my channel. If you go through the comments, it is wild how furious people are. And same thing when that Twitter thread now is going viral. I mean, it's at how many views now? It's at
34 million.
34 million views right now, 62,000 likes, 8,200 retweets. And it seems like people are really upset about a lot of it. And your intention to show people, hey, look, you can mess up and just keep going. They kind of take this as proof that, look, how much he messed up. He went through all this hardship now that he went homeless. Wah, wah, wah. That just proves that he can't do it. Right? And so it's funny, but we'll get into all of that later on the reactions. But first, I want to finish up the story of what actually happened and how you went about it. So you had the idea, then what? How did you put it into action? Because you had a running business, things were going well, and then you decide to do this other project and put everything else on hold. You put all your belongings in storage. You told your friends and family about it. Like, what else did you do? How did you set up this project?
Well, so when I came with the idea, I literally just woke up one day and was like, wow, like it just came to me like in the morning, and I thought about it for a day, and then I posted it. After thinking about it for a day, I decided to commit to it. I posted it in a Facebook group. It's called Trends. Doesn't exist anymore, but it was like a Facebook group for entrepreneurs, and it was like the most liked post in the group. And and then the owner of that, his name's Sam Parr. He posted on Twitter, and it kind of went semi-viral in the
Sam Parr from My First Million.
Yeah, from My First Million, and it went semi-viral in the entrepreneurial community. And I was like, holy shit, I'm doing it. Like, let's do this. And so I had to think about a lot of things. I've never made content before. I wasn't like a content creator. I had no experience doing any of that. So I was like, okay, I need to build a team.
And then you started the project and so many things went sideways.
Yeah. So
what happened?
Yeah. So from the beginning, the first mistake was hiring an entire production team. So I hired full-time employees. Like, I employed full-time people. This whole project cost me $300,000. So I'm pretty much actually leaving my business. Like, I had people in my business. I'm like, you guys are going to have to run the ship for the next 12 months. So I'm committing to doing this for 365 days. And, I'm going to give up everything. I'm going to start with nothing but a cell phone and a pair of clothes. Go buy a different name, and I'm going to try to build a new business to $1 million. So you guys have to run the ship. So I walked away from that. And then I hired people, and then it's like, okay, how do we make good YouTube videos? How do we make social media content? Like, we had to figure this out. So I hired people that I've never worked with before as full-time team members. We had 5 people here in the US, bunch of contractors overseas, a couple of video editors, videographers, all that stuff. And then we just planned. And I didn't actually plan what I was going to do on day one. Like, I had no idea what I was going to do day one. No idea at all until I literally turned the keys in, because I was working so hard to plan the production. How are we going to make YouTube videos, all this stuff? How are we going to do all this? So I didn't even sleep the night before, because I was working so much to get it ready, and we still weren't ready, but I was like, screw it. So we did.
People have no idea how much work goes into making a simple video, let alone an entire project where you document your entire life and everything, and you also try to build a business. And so how many people did you hire?
Yeah, so I hired 5 people here in the US. And it was actually a little bit more, because there were some people, and this also made it so hard. We were churning through people, because I never worked with them before. So this was the worst part. I never worked with people before. So then we'd start working with them and be like, this person sucks. We'd have to get rid of them. And I'm in the middle of doing this project, so I'd have to find someone else.
Not only have you never worked with these people before, you've never worked in this industry before, because it's almost like you started a media company.
Exactly.
So you hired 5 people. You had a videographer, you had an editor, you had, what else?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to remember. In the very beginning, from day one, we had an ops/project manager kind of oversaw stuff. We had a marketing person. We had, and that person, we went through 3 marketing people, but we had a marketing person. We had a video editor. We had a shooter. We had 2 shooters. And then we had a bunch of contractors. Yeah. So that was day one.
What was the marketing person for?
The marketing person was to run all social channels. So Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Their job was to make the posts and figure out how do we make a viral video? How do I want to take a storyline and make it into a video?
Yeah. Man. Yeah. So how much were you paying per month just to maintain that team?
Yeah, so I think our burn was about $25,000 a month. Sometimes it was a little more.
So you spent $25,000 a month on this project. Why?
Yeah, well, first off, I didn't realize how much it was going to cost. I calculated it, in the beginning, it's one of those things where like I calculated at the beginning, I was like, okay, it's going to be like, I can get away with 15 grand a month, or I can get away with 10 grand a month. So that's what I originally was thinking. And I was like, this person's going to cost $6,000, but we really need this person. This person's going to cost $5,000 a month, but we really need this person. And it was like one after another until it was like 25K-ish a month, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on when we were hiring and firing people, and burn every single month, which is just insane. I don't recommend anyone ever does that. But yeah.
And the thing is, it's not like you can try out working with some people and then, oh, it doesn't work, let's start over again. Like once you're in the project, it has to work.
Yeah, I was homeless, so you know, the team's hitting me up saying like, oh, this person, like I'm seeing the post and I'm like, this person's doing a job. I guess I need to fire them and go find someone else. So it's like, you know, and luckily like I had some help with like, you know, recruiting and stuff, but I still had to make the decision, is this person good or not? And then they're pretty much reporting to me. So
it's funny because the same rule checks out that I've heard somewhere else, which is that any project you start, it's going to cost twice as much as you think. You thought it was going to be 10, 15K, it's 25K. It's going to take twice as long as you think, and it's going to be twice as much effort as you think.
Yeah.
That's such a great rule of thumb. We always underestimate what it takes.
Yeah.
And yeah, you definitely did.
I underestimated as well. Fucking bad. Yeah.
So, okay, you got the team. You're spending 25K a month on the team. You're not getting any money back on this project. You put your business on hold, hoping that somebody will run it and that it comes back in one piece when you come back after a year. And you hope to reach a lot of people with the project. So what happened the first day? You started out homeless. You had very specific rules that you set up. So, and you also published them on your website. So to start, you have nothing but a cell phone with internet, cell phone charger, one pair of clothes, a bank account open with $0 in it, and no place to live. Mask and all that stuff because of the pandemic that was going on at the moment.
Yeah, which, you know, it's funny, people like leave comments about that. They're like, look at this clown. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
We literally had no idea at the time. It was fresh. It was really fresh. I remember the footage that you showed was how there were restaurants.
There's no one outside, like at all.
Wild.
Yeah.
So camera equipment is what you're also allowed to have, which is what you had was a cell phone camera.
Yeah.
But it was not like the shooter is behind you at all times and you're like doing this challenge. But that's what people think in the comments, right? They're like, oh, of course he made it work because everyone saw the cameras. No, you guys were super sneaky about that, right?
Yeah, so the I didn't have like a cameraman with me other than like in the beginning, and then we'd have to meet up and do stuff. And then once, you know, later we did, when like it wasn't obvious. But all that stuff I was filming off my phone.
Yeah.
Which also caused some issues because like, you know, initially with that, it made it really hard because I'd meet someone. Really in the beginning, it made it hard because I'd meet someone and I'd want to film on my phone. So I had to kind of make up a story, which I didn't love, but I'd be like, yeah, I'm just documenting, you know, I'm trying to start a YouTube thing. And they're like, what? And I remember with Isaac, he was the person who I ended up, you know, living with in an RV. He was weirded out by it. And like after 2 days, he's like, I don't want you to film. Like, can you stop like taking your phone out?
More of the rules were you can't sell anything that you start with to make money. To start, you can't use any of your resources. So all the stuff was boarded away. You couldn't use any of your connections.
Nope.
None of your other employees. Only the people that are shooting the content, but they're not helping you in any way make money. You can't use any of your network. Let's see. New identity. So your new name is Scott. You have no college degree, and you worked in a restaurant for 10 years. I will immediately cut off anyone I meet that finds out my true identity. That as well. And yeah, you can only make money through the hustle. It's very simple, but you laid it out very clearly. People will still poke holes in it. I mean, we address all the hate that you got later on, and we can philosophize a bit about human nature after that. Once we get to that point. But what was the first day like? What happened? Because I think that was probably one of the most eventful things, right?
Yeah.
Right from the get-go, it sucked.
Day one was awful. Yeah, day one sucked. So, you know, it was July 10th, 2020, so it was hot. I mean, we're in Austin, Texas. It's like, I think it was like 105 or like, it was really, really hot out. So when I turned the keys in, I was like, I'm just going to go downtown and I'm just going to like think about what to do. And while I'm walking there, I'm like, wait, I need to like figure out like a source of water. That's the only thing I was like super concerned about. It's like, I just need water.
Dude, real quick, I'm sorry, but are you seriously wearing the exact same thing right now that you wore in the...
Yes.
Did you do that intentionally?
Somewhat, yeah.
Is that the same clothing?
This is actually my favorite shirt. So,
this is the same thing that you wore 4 years ago when you started this project.
That's
day
so
one.
funny you notice that while you're looking.
Yeah, you know why? Because I looked at all of your videos.
Yeah.
I watched all of it because I made the video about you.
Yeah.
Summarizing the 12-month journey. So that's so funny. So, sorry, I cut you off. You're talking about water?
Yeah. So
really
water, I was just really concerned about water because like it was so hot. And but what I did the very first day, I was like, okay, what can I do? What can I do as quickly as possible to get off the street? So I went on Craigslist, I went on Facebook, and I went on couchsurfing.co. I went like everywhere I possibly could to post like, hey, I will do whatever I need to do to get a place to live for free. So like I was posting like, you know, I will cook for you, I'll clean for you. If you have extra work, I will do it. I just need a place for the weekend. And then couchsurfing.co is like this site for people that like couch surf. It's like a community of people that will like, you pretty much you can sleep on their couch. The problem though, I got so many responses, but it was like, hey, sorry, COVID's going on. Like this is when, like, this is you got to bring your head back to the beginning of COVID. This is like when everyone had no idea what was happening.
Yeah, we didn't even know the death rates.
No one knew anything. And everyone was responding like, sorry, like I don't want to get COVID. Whereas like if it wasn't during COVID, I would assume it would have been much easier. I could have found someone much, more quickly. But
any creeps?
Oh yeah. So the funniest message I got was the Craigslist stuff. Like anyone on Craigslist, you know, there's two really creepy things. So the first was, Craigslist. Someone said like, I'll give you $100 if you know. I'll let your mind wander on that. But
give me feet.
I'll give you $100 if you play with my feet. And I text him like, hey, I'm not desperate. I'm not that desperate yet, but I'm gonna save your number.
Really? You've texted?
No, but so I had that. Then there was this guy on some site, I forget which one that had gotten back to me, and he was in like some swinger community or something, which I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. But he really wanted me to stay with him, like really bad. And he was like begging me to come. He's like, we can do this swinger stuff and all this stuff. I was like, dude, I'm good. I appreciate it. Like, I just want a place to stay. I don't want to do any of that. And, but he kept like telling me in the back of my head, I'm like, worst case, I could stay here. And like, at least I'll have a place to stay. But he kept like texting me to like come, and I was like, come over. And I was just like, dude, I was like, that's not worth it. I'd rather just sleep on the street. Like some bad might actually happen. So that was,
terrifying.
Those were the first couple of messages, and that's how that all went.
And so, did you get results that day? How did it go?
Yeah, so...
And this is also the first day that you're in action shooting with the team.
Yeah.
I remember, listen, I've done stuff with shoots before where there's multiple people shooting, and it is oftentimes a show. You're trying to figure out the audio, the right angle, the lighting, and I'm going through the experience. Let's say, for example, I'm being yelled at by a Navy SEAL, and I'm having to jump into water and everything, and I'm exhausted. And then I also want to make sure, hey, did we capture this audio? Like, is this still working? Is the battery's good? And I'm kind of managing a shoot. So is that something you went through as well? And how did that go?
Yeah, a little bit. So that wasn't actually the very first day we shot. There was like, we shot like a week before of like getting ready and set up and all that stuff. And so that wasn't the very first day we shot. And we also thought about what issues might we run into. So like worst case, I knew that if they were someone with a camera that was nearby, we had a long lens. So like they could hit me with that from like a distance. But like if I knew something important was about to happen, I would just whip my phone out and just talk to the phone. Worst case.
It's so tough documenting.
Yeah.
Everything. It's so tough. So you tried to get a place to stay. What happened?
Yeah, so all this creepy stuff, whatever. And then, it wasn't just focused on like, I need a place to stay. It was also like, how can I make money right now? So I was like, okay, let me sign up for every app I possibly can. And this is the first time I ran into a problem. I was going by Scott Black, but to sign up for like DoorDash, you have to use your real name. like they verify your ID. So I was like, oh, well, I have to put Mike Black. So, you know, I signed up for all those apps. And then I started looking on Facebook Marketplace and like Craigslist for stuff that I might be able to sell on like the free section. But I was like, oh shit, I don't have a car. Like I can't go pick the item up and sell it. So that was a problem. And I just remember feeling so defeated. Like that first day I was so exhausted. I was so hot. I was just like drenched in sweat because I was outside all day. And I tried a million things and nothing worked. And I just remember it was like 11 o'clock and I was about to go to sleep on this bench. And I took out my phone and I was like, guys, this day one was not good. I'm about to sleep on this bench and, you know, get at it tomorrow. That was like where my head was at. So I literally go to like lay down and sleep on this bench. And then I got like a notification from Couchsurfing, and this guy named Isaac hit me up. He's like, hey, like, do you still need a place to stay? And I get on a phone call with him, and he was, you know, he lived like pretty far from downtown, like 20, 30 minutes from downtown. And I just explained like, yeah, like I don't have a place to stay tonight. Like I was, you know, about to sleep on this bench. And, you know, for anyone that's seen the video, I get super emotional because on the call, he's like, no, dude, like I got you. Like I want to make sure you have a place to stay. And he drove, you know, 25, 30 minutes to come pick me up to let me stay with him in his RV. And that was like the craziest thing. Like it was such a weird feeling for me because I've never been on like this, like someone did something so nice for me and I felt weird because I like giving and someone else was doing that for me. And it was just such a kind act. I was like, you know, super emotional about it. But this person, you know, let me stay in his RV and it was supposed to be for a weekend. And, you know, it ended up being a little bit longer. I think it was like a couple months.
Wow. So why did he pick you up?
I can look at the messages. I can pull it up. I really don't, I don't know why he did it. But you know, these people on the site Couchsurfing, again, it's like a community and people will travel and like, you know, I guess you stay somewhere, it's someone else's place for free and then you get reviews. And then the expectation is you let people stay at your place for free. And that's what the whole community is of this. You know, there's a couple of them.
Oh, I thought it was going to be like, oh, human kindness. Some people just come out to give. It's
well, no, it is kind though. I mean, when
he wanted a review.
He just wanted a freaking review.
Can we just stick with the whole like human kindness? He just had no incentive.
Well, no, I really actually think like because I told him what was going on in regards to like I'm about to sleep on this bench. Like I told him that he knew that was my situation. He could have just been like, this sounds weird. I don't want anything to do with it. But instead, he felt bad. He was compassionate. He was like, he saw another human being that was, you know, in distress and said, I'm going to come drive to you and pick you up and give you a place to stay. And then what he also did is it was only supposed to be for a weekend and he ended up letting me stay for a couple of months. So, you know, I think like this individual really great person.
Yeah. So at this point, you ended up staying at his place and you weren't homeless anymore. So you weren't homeless for a single night. And so that's where a lot of people also get pissed about it because they're like, he wasn't really homeless. And the first day he just got lucky, right? And so a lot of people, they called out that this must be a scam. This must be like set up and everything. And so this is, I think, also a good point to address the whole, I think a big reason why people get so upset about the video, specifically people who, I don't know, I think it's people in general who have a bad relationship with people who have money and think there's like good and evil, right? There's like the people that have a lot of money. And so when they saw the title of the video, which is Millionaire Goes Homeless to Prove Anyone Can Make $1 Million, that was my title. I picked that title because I knew it would make people click. I knew it would make people click and they want to see, okay, this is a cocky millionaire. Let's see, can he make $1 million, right? That was my intention. And of course I played on the virality and like shock factor or whatever, right? The intention that people went in with, the assumption that people went in with, though, was that you're like this asshole who is trying to prove that, like, hey, homeless people, you don't have to be homeless. Look at me.
Homeless people suck, dude.
Yeah, well, you're like making a point for homeless people. That was never the intention.
No.
Right? And so my goal in the video was to show, hey, you click because of this, but like, look at this guy. He's doing it because of COVID, because he wanted to inspire people who are struggling. And he just started from nothing. So he started homeless, right? And so, but it just stuck in people's minds that this is a millionaire. Millionaires, as we have seen in movies, they are usually the bad guy, right? And this is like a social experiment. And you're trying to prove like, hey, look, homeless people, you just have to pick yourself up. But that was never your intention. You even before my video, when you started the whole challenge, you got hate for it, right? So it wasn't just the packaging.
Yeah.
I mean, I do take responsibility for that. Listen, it worked.
Yeah.
When I changed the title to that, boom, it went out. And here's the thing. Everyone that came up to me in person was like, that was great video. And I was like, yeah, I got so much hate for it. They're like, really? Why?
Yeah.
Nobody understood it. But if you look at the video itself, it is like mind-boggling how pissed people are at that. And it's not my usual audience. It's not the audience of people who are like growth-minded. The ones who are growth-minded, they're like, oh, wow, this is great. Like, yeah, like I get it. It's not about homeless people. It's not about it's not a video against homelessness. It's just about picking yourself up from your bootstraps.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, and people don't get this, is like, it's crazy because like so many people have, I spent $300,000 on this project and I couldn't figure out how to make it go viral. But it's funny because you made it go viral on YouTube, and then now it has over 34 million views on Twitter. It has 10 million plus views on TikTok, and it has a bunch of views on Facebook, all these places, and it's going viral. And none of it's from me, who spent 300,000. So it says I suck at making things go viral, but it's other people's words. And what other people were able to do with that is they made really good clickbaity titles, and they took a story. And I'm not saying that you specifically did it. You maybe did it with the title, but like this Twitter post that has 34 plus million views at this point, it was twisted in a way. Some things aren't even true. And the headline, which I'll pull the headline up, but the headline, let me just pull it up here. So the headline says, he's a millionaire who went homeless as a social experiment. So the first thought process here, if you read that, is what a piece of shit. Like, that's what I would think. Like, what a piece of shit. He's a millionaire who wants, like, to prove that homeless people suck. That's what I interpret that as.
Look at this guy.
Yeah, look at this piece of shit. So that's the first part of the headline. Then the second part, it says his goal, prove that anyone can make $1 million in 12 months with just a phone.
You never
said...
That
is not my goal at all. Like, literally, I would never in a million years be like, anyone can make $1 million with a phone in 12 months.
Listen, I'll be honest, I take responsibility for this too, because yes, I also framed you in a certain way. I did.
Yeah, but it's fine. But that's what you need. That's what people don't get. That's what you need to do to go viral on social media.
Yes, I hoped that I've done this many times on YouTube where I have a bold title, a strong statement, and then I'm able to justify it in the video, and I'm able to turn people around, And so it works. It works many times where people are like, oh, I get it now. With this one, it did not. The headline itself, it's stuck in people's minds. And I learned so much about human psychology and how we consume headlines and news and how that just sticks. No matter what other information you get afterwards, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because the frame of reference, or whatever you want to call it, is there. And so I think it's also a cognitive bias. There's some sort of cognitive bias where if you describe a person as intelligent, thoughtful, caring, loving, impatient, and then you list a bunch of bad things, you list the good things first and then the bad things, it sounds okay because there's all these great things at first, and then there's these flaws that come later that then get justified. It's just because they're caring, that's why they're impatient, or it's just because they're so intelligent, that's why they're impatient. Because, if you swap these words around, and you're like, hey, this is Peter. He's impatient, manipulative, cold, intelligent, caring, love. You see that person in a way worse light because you're like, but they're this.
Yeah.
And sure, they have these good qualities, So the order of things, the frame of reference, or what you start with, like the first impression. And so I gave you a terrible first impression. Now, how was the video received? In the comments, terribly.
Sure.
Like, you would just, from the comments, you would think it's like 95% dislikes.
Yeah.
What do you think is actually the like to dislike ratio? Because me as the creator and the uploader of the video, I know what it is.
Sure.
What do you think it is?
Man, if I had to guess, based off, and I looked at I love negative comments. Like, this.
We'll get into this. Comments, yes. I love that.
But if I had to guess based off the negative comments I saw, I would say 70% dislike, 30% like. So 70% of the people that watch the video hit the dislike button, 30% hit the like button.
You want to know the real numbers?
Yeah, let's hear it.
90-10.
Which is the 90 the good or the bad?
90 is the good.
Whoa.
So it has 400,000 votes.
Holy shit, I can't believe that.
Now, here's the thing. This is all over the internet. This phenomenon. Listen, there are people silently watching that are like, oh, great video. I got the point. This guy is doing this project. Yes, it's a clickbaity headline, but I get it.
Sure.
400,000 people clicked and voted on this video, whether they liked it or not. 363,000 said, yes, I liked it.
I would have never guessed that.
41,000 said, no, I don't.
I would have never guessed that. That's crazy.
So out of 400,000 people, only 40,000 said no.
That's crazy.
The comments, though, you read the comments.
Fuck this guy sucks.
Most humble. So a lot of it is just like, okay, you're scamming, you're faking this, or it's not as simple for homeless people. And we agree. Like, you know, like you'd agree. No homeless person like is supposed to do this.
Yeah.
But even before I uploaded the video and it was framed with this headline, I remember you sharing this with me. You were like, yeah, I'm starting out with nothing. So basically homeless. And people are like, oh, you shouldn't say homeless. It's like, okay, what is it called then when you don't have a home? Like, what else should I call it, you know?
Yeah, it's really hard. And you know, I don't judge myself very much. Like, I'm like super easy on myself, but I'm also really, really, really hard on myself as well. But the most disappointed I've ever been with myself in my life, my entire life, was when I posted about this project. I posted it in the Facebook group, and I never like, I wasn't a social media guy. So like, I wasn't used to getting comments and stuff. And like a bunch of people were commenting and they're saying like, you know, when I thought of the idea, I was like, I'm going to go homeless and try to make $1 million. And a bunch of people were commenting before I started the project, and they're like, just writing all this stuff. I don't remember the exact comments, but it's like, how could you talk about homeless people like this? You're degrading them and all this stuff. And my first reaction was like, oh, I don't want to upset these people. I started apologizing. I'm like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. And that night when I like went to bed, like I thought about that, and I just like felt disgraced with myself for apologizing, because like, you know, I get why people feel that way when they see like homeless, but like, how else do you want to describe that situation? Like the whole point of the project is I want to try to go as low as I can go, and I want to try to make $1 million starting with nothing. How else do you want me to describe it? I don't have a home. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, do you want me to say like, I'm going to start off and I don't have a home, aka I'm homeless? Like, how else would you describe it? Motherfucker who's talking shit on this. But I also get it. I also get it. Like why people get pissed, because when they read it, they're like, oh, this guy, whatever. But back to the kind of the negative comments and stuff. I think, you know, looking at I'm shocked that it's 90%, 10%, but I'm also at the same time, I'm not that shocked, because the people that like it really bothers and get, you know, they get angry, there's people who are going to voice their opinion, and I would assume they would do it at maybe a larger percentage. And you know, that's what's really crazy about this Twitter post. This Twitter post has like 34 million people. A bunch of people are super pissed. And what's crazy, if you go through the Twitter post is more polarizing than what you did. He kind of stole your headline a bit, but he made it even worse. Okay? Like he took it, again, I'll read it one more time. It's like
repurposed.
He repurposed it, but made me way worse in the repurposing.
I don't think that was his intention. He was just optimizing.
Oh, I think it was his intention. I think he wanted to go very viral, and he did a good job.
His intention was not to make you look bad. His intention was to go viral.
Yes,
and
yes.
The way to get there was...
Exactly. And by the way, I don't know this guy. His name's Eddie Cheng. I don't have a problem with him. I sent him a message after, and I was like, dude, good job. Like, you did it. You made it go viral. Great job.
I thought you were going to call him out for a boxing match or something like that.
Eddie, let's go.
Come on, Eddie Chang.
You wanna write some clickbaity shit? Let's go.
But I'll say it real quick. When I read it, I was like, oh, he was really nice. But I think when you read it, you looked at you noticed certain nuances, and when it's about yourself, you're a lot more sensitive to that. So I'm curious.
So what's interesting is I didn't even read the whole Twitter thread actually until I made a video about it. Like I'm not even kidding. I didn't read the whole thread. I like started reading through it and then I got bored and I just stopped. And what I realized going through it while I was making a video about it is there's a ton of information that was wrong. And I was like, Eddie, you're not that great, dude. Like you didn't even do your homework. Like these things aren't right. What the fuck? But anyways,
I think Eddie did well. Shout out to Eddie.
Eddie did dude, he got 34 million views. You know how hard it is to do that? You know how hard it is. So he did a great job. And I told him that. I DM'd him. I was like, great job. But the title is, he's a millionaire who went homeless as a social experiment. First thought is, what a piece of shit. He hates homeless people. And his goal, prove anyone can make $1 million in 12 months with just a phone. So then people are reading that. Things that I don't believe at all. And he twisted it, and they're leaving super negative comments based off of a headline. And, you were talking about like, why people do that stuff, like the psychology behind it. And I looked at this because, you saw everything happen during like, COVID, where like, I think people started realizing how much the media lies and how like headlines are kind of BS. So I started thinking about a lot of this then, but now that's happened to me, I thought about it a lot more. It's like, why are people leaving such negative comments without actually like doing the research? And I think like a good example of this is with like politics. You see this a lot in politics where like, you have your Republicans and your Democrats, right? And when a Republican sees any type of a headline that is good about Republicans, they want to regurgitate it. They don't care to like look into it. It's a good headline. They want to regurgitate it. They want to talk about it. It makes them feel good because they're a Republican. Doesn't matter if it's true or not, but that's what they want to do. And the vice versa, if a Republican sees a bad headline about a liberal, it's the same thing. They want to regurgitate it. They want to post about it. They want to talk about it because it's a bad headline. They're right. Their enemy is wrong. They're so bad. They don't care if there's truth in it or not. So the question is, why are like all these people that are leaving comments, they're leaving lengthy comments, and they're not taking the time to actually look into something and do the research.
And even if they look into something, they're not looking into it with the lens of what can I learn here, but how fucked up is this?
Yeah, how bad is this person? So I think the initial reaction when people see this, their initial reaction, and I think I personally think it's like a significant thing. Like they're seeking significance, and they're like, this is either really against my morals and my core beliefs, or it's really against my core beliefs. It's either with it or against it. I don't know if I said that right, but it's either with my core beliefs or against it. And they see it, and then they want to spew their opinion on that. So other people will see their opinion, and therefore posting it gives them significance because they are like doing the action of like talking about how they feel about something. So that gives them significance. And then also sharing that with other people to see, and it gives them significance. So I think that that's unfortunately really natural behavior for humans, is like they see headlines, they see something, and then, going through this situation, seeing it kind of happen to myself, it's like, it's just crazy to me. Like when I read something, I never would like post my own opinion until like I actually do some research. But that's like natural for humans to do that. And again, I think my belief is like, why are they doing that? I think it's because people seek significance. So it gives them like a dopamine hit when they're, something agrees with their core beliefs or it goes against their core beliefs, and they want to say how bad it is. So in this case, I'm the bad guy. I'm the, homeless hater. Anyone can make $1 million in 12 months guy.
And you're a millionaire because millionaires are evil.
I'm an evil guy too. Yeah.
As we know. Yeah. So I definitely want to get more into this topic. And I think we should stay there while we're at it. We're also going to tell the rest of the story of what actually happened, whether you did make it to $1 million, how much did you end up making, and what are the curveballs that didn't end up happening, because it is a wild story. Wild story. And I think that makes it even more infuriating thinking about all the hate that you got. But I think the reason why people jump into the discussion is because it triggered some sort of thing for them, that you represent something. Whenever somebody gets triggered by you, it's because you represent something to them in their life that they have an emotional charge about. I get triggered by stuff too. Not where I'm like, oh, I'm offended. How did you say this? But when I see, and this is a perfect example, when I see somebody misrepresented and just be made the bad guy, when you spent $300K because you had good intentions and you wanted to put out content, you not only made a video series about yourself, but you also posted live videos, you posted tutorial videos on how to get a job. All of this to like, hey, if you have nothing, here you go. You put your, not only did you spend $300,000, you also put your business on hold. What is the opportunity cost that you missed out on?
A lot.
Dude, you lost $1 million doing this project.
Yeah.
I hate to say it to you, but
oh no, I know.
you lost $1 million in this project, dude. And so now
Millionaire goes homeless trying to Millionaire goes homeless and loses $1 million while trying to shit on homeless people.
Exactly. Wow, right? And man, I mean, also that anyone can make $1 million. I picked that word specifically.
Yeah.
Yes, and there's people in the comments that are like, you should have said that some people can do it, or that
when it gone as viral.
Man, it's that the headline doesn't work that way, and this is a moral dilemma that I think every creator or artist, I wouldn't call myself an artist. I'm not that full of myself, just a little bit, but I think everyone battles with that I want to make beautiful, great stuff, and I want it to be seen.
Yeah.
And so there are creators out there that can be like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to play the clickbait game. I'm not going to play the game where I have to have a great headline and I don't have to have the greatest idea. I'll just make what I want. Good. Some people happen to get results with that. They happen to. And
but
if you're not doing that, your competition will.
Yeah.
You know who definitely will? The people who have a message. The media, drama, like people, I don't know, on other people, exposing other people, negative stuff. Like those people, they don't care. They use the clickbaitiest stuff out there. And yeah, there may be people who also make good stuff, but you don't agree with what they're saying, so you wanna be part of the discussion. If you're not using these tools that everybody uses, like you're out. It's like, I don't know, it's like, sure, you can just not use it, but then you won't reach people. You won't have an impact. And that's so often with companies that have really great, healthy, good products, their marketing sucks.
Yeah.
And you're obligated to make money as a company so that you can have better marketing, so that you can get your good product out there. And so that's how I rationalize it in my head, that yes, I use this headline. And in the video itself, I flipped it around by saying, hey, this is what it was about.
Yeah.
And man, it is a battle, right? But
no, but you made the point, and you're totally right. Like the thing is, like if you're,
I'm just saying, I'm sorry, Mike. I'm sorry.
No, you don't. Here's the thing. And
I'm joking.
But this is the best part about all that. I'm so happy you made the video and made it super clickbaity. I'm so happy this guy on Twitter made it super clickbaity. Like I'm super pumped about it. And the thing is, if you have a really important message where you can really help people, if you don't do that, it's not going to get in front of them, like you said. So like you have to get the message out. There's nothing wrong with doing that as long as you're not like misleading people after the fact, which you didn't do. You hook the person, which you need to do on YouTube. Then they watch it, and now you have control of like the story that they're going to see. And you know, this is like every media outlet is doing the same thing. Like, and that's why I don't also judge like media outlets like, you know, say CNN or Fox. They have to do these things. If you don't do this, your message doesn't end up getting out. You have to do this. So like you said, the creators that are like, oh, I won't do this. Okay, well, you won't get views.
Yeah.
You won't get views then. So your message and the value you give the world, it's not going to get out there. And that's what happened to me. Here, I'm a great example. I didn't know how to do that. I wasn't doing that. And if it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for this guy on Twitter, if it wasn't for these people, the majority of people would not know about this project, which, by the way, I think the beginning videos of this are like one of the best things someone can watch if they want to learn how to change their life, get on their feet, build a business from scratch. Like, I think it's incredibly valuable what we were able to put together here. But I wasn't able to do, you know, those super clickbaity things that get all the views. So like, I'm doing the people a disservice by not doing that. And anyone's doing a disservice if they don't go, okay, I need to learn how to do this.
Yeah. It's kind of it reminds me of there's plenty of examples like this in society where, hey, can we just all agree not to do it? Like, let's just all not use clickbaity titles. But then one person does it, and then now everyone has to do it.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why communism doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
Like, if we could, like, can we just all agree that we're all going to share and look after each other? Great. Okay. But then there's one dude who just takes advantage of that, and it's like, okay, we can't trust that dude, so I'm not going to do it anymore. Okay, then I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to look after people. I'm going to look after myself. I'm only going to transact with you. And then we have capitalism, right? Which is the best thing and that we currently have. And so there's many games set up like that. YouTube is one of them. If you're not optimizing the packaging, sorry, you're not going to get viewed. And yes, there are people that do get viewed that, you know, don't optimize too much for packaging, but everyone does it to some extent. And so the question is, to what extent do you want to do it? And what message do you have? And yeah, but who can determine what the right message is anyway, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I just think you stirred the pot. And people, like, whenever somebody gets triggered by someone, like, what triggers me is if I see unfairness, like somebody making somebody else look bad, because that's just how I grew up. Like, this brings up a primal fear of mine that I don't want to talk about. I don't want to be the guy who brings up trauma. But I grew up as a kid, if there was unfairness in my family on like how people treated each other, and, you know, this person was making that person wrong, it was like a survival thing for me. It was like, this can't be right? So I come from a household that was parents separated, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And so when I see that unfairness, it just brings out something in me where I'm like, no, this is not fair. This is not right. And so I think the same goes for anyone here, right? So like the people that are reacting, they have some sort of emotional charge that you triggered because you represent someone in their life. And so it's actually a very powerful question to ask someone if you're in a relationship, for example, and your partner gets really upset, unreasonably upset about something. Like, just asking them, like, what does this remind you of? Like, who do I represent in your life? Like, that's one of the questions that they asked in the leadership program that I did recently. It's like, who do I represent in your life? Like, the people that for some reason didn't end up liking me. I did like this leadership program where, yeah, you work together with people and you work on your stuff. There were some people that just didn't like me, and they just didn't even give me a chance. And so I would ask them, who do I represent in your life? And they'd be like, oh, my ex-boyfriend. And I'm like, okay. And then when they get to know me, you know, but like, we quickly notice these patterns as human beings where it's like, it's like that thing. Like when you were in the wild and you saw a tiger and it was furry and it had these stripes or whatever. The next time you see a cat, a little Garfield cat, you're like, it's, you know, maybe not the best example, but
yeah,
something like that. And so I think that's what happens here. That's why people get so riled up, because it's never about the actual thing, right? If your partner gets upset about you not doing the dishes, what does it represent for you? Well, it's when my dad left.
Yeah.
You know, it's never about that thing. So that's what I think also happened. And yes, it is a significance thing where it's like, it's a scream for help or for like, hear me out. Like, listen, it's the same thing when two people argue about a topic where they actually agree. When they sit down, they actually agree, but one of them just wants to emphasize, hey, I just want to emphasize that this is also really important. And then the other person says, yes, and we also need to make sure that the opposite side is also, you know. And so they actually agree on the same thing, but they just want to like emphasize their specific point that like, pull over to the left more, pull over to the right more, whatever. I'm not saying politically pull over left or right, but just also consider this, because there's some sort of emotional charge behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, like, again, you know that I love the hate comments. It gets like, I love it. It like brings joy to me.
You ended up staying at the RV. Then what? Like, what are some of the things that happened then that are the big events? Just run us through that.
Yeah. So the RV, literally first day, I end up, you know, getting in, being able to live with this guy. His name's Isaac, in his RV. So I stayed at his RV. The next day, I just like start posting on Facebook Marketplace. So I find products that are listed for free on Craigslist. There's a bunch of people that list their stuff for free. They just want it gone. They'd still use Craigslist, believe it or not. They'll put it in the free section. So what I was trying to do is like pick those things up and then like physically have them and then sell them, but I didn't have a car. But then I was so desperate to make money, I realized I don't need a car. I can just take those, list them for free on Facebook Marketplace, and then when someone hits me up, I can just broker a deal and take 50%. So when I realized this, I was like, let me try it. I just started doing it. And people would hit me up on Facebook. They'd be like, hey, how much is, or, you know, they'd try to negotiate like $100. Then I would hit up the person on Craigslist and I just send them an email and I'd be like, hey, I want to take, take this off your hands. Here's my number. Call me immediately. They'd call me. And then I'd be like, hey, this is going to sound kind of weird, but I help people sell stuff on Craigslist. And I have someone that's interested in your item, and he's going to pay $100. And what I do, I say, I take 50% of that. And he's willing to come like right away. And the person's like, sure, as long as they come right away. And then the person would come, they'd pay that person the $100 via like Venmo or something. And then they'd Venmo me half of it. And the first day that I did this, which was like day 2, I think I made like $250 in profit. And the second day, I think I made like $50 in profit. So in total, the first day 2 and day 3, I made like $300 in profit.
In 2 days, $300, $150 a day.
Yeah, and I don't. People can go look at this is all on my Instagram like stories. They're, you know, I saved them. But by day 3, I had $300 in my bank, and I was like, yeah, I can go get like clothes now. So I went to Goodwill. I got like, because I just had one pair of clothes. It was disgusting. Isaac was nice enough to give me like, I think like a shirt and something like that. But I went to Goodwill. I got like a couple pairs of clothes. I went to the grocery store. I got like a couple cans of beans and pasta. And then I went on Facebook Marketplace and I got like the shittiest laptop available on Facebook Marketplace. It was like,
give me the shittiest laptop available.
It was like, dude, it had a dent in it and it was, you'd open it, it was inverted. Like the screen was like inverted.
No. Wait, it was
like you'd open it,
vertical
and the screen
instead
was like
of horizontal.
This. Yeah, it was like no, it wasn't like fully vertical, but it was like it had been dropped or something, so it was kind of like inverted like this. So I think it was like $150. It might have been less. Again, it's on my stuff. You can go look at it, but all I needed was the computer. Like that was my number one goal, is get a freaking computer, and I have one. So I did all that, and then there was a co-working space. It's called Austin Film School. So I started just looking up co-working space, and I found this place called Austin Film School. I forget how far it was from the RV park. And it was $40 a month to rent out co-working space, which was perfect. Like they had, I forget what are the MacBooks called that aren't like a laptop?
iPads?
No, the ones that are like, they're like computers that like sit on the desk and it's a screen.
Mac
Whatever
Studio.
those are. Mac Studio.
iMac.
iMac. They had iMacs, which were way better than they're way better than the laptop. So what I started using the laptop, and then I got the space and I take the bus and, you know, use those iMacs. And that's what I did initially to get like some initial money. And then I started doing some other things like, you know, I flipped bikes and I started flipping stuff. I ended up getting shadow banned on Facebook though. So like I was just going to continue doing that until I had like a couple $1,000. And then I did something kind of stupid. I was like, well, I'm based in Austin, but I don't have to be in person. I can do it anywhere. So I started doing it all over the US. And then Facebook's like, how are you selling all these things all over the US? And they like banned me for like a month or some period of time. Mm-hmm. But didn't matter. Had the laptop, went on Upwork.com, and then I just started applying to jobs on Upwork.com.
Everything is happening really quickly.
Yeah.
So, real quick, one of the things that a lot of people hated on was that, listen, you have all the knowledge. You already had $1 million business before. That doesn't help anyone. You already had the experience and skill. To me, that was kind of like the point of the video, was that with dedication and hard work and building skills and learning new things, you can pick yourself up, right? Whereas people saw that as an excuse for why you missed the point. You missed the point because you already had everything. And true, I think it's true to a certain extent, and you were kind of going in a new direction intentionally, but we get to that. But the Facebook Marketplace thing, you don't need to have marketing experience. That's just street smarts.
Yeah, that was just like on a whim. And like I had to figure this out as I went.
That's just resourcefulness. And this is wild to me that technically anyone at home, anyone listening to this, wherever you're at, like as long as you have a phone And an internet connection.
This project wasn't supposed to be about homelessness at all. Like, you know, like you were just talking about, like, I can't imagine what it would be like to be homeless, or like a lot of people that are homeless have drug addictions. I can't imagine to be dealing with all of that stuff. I have no background or credentials or anything, because a lot of comments say this. I have no backgrounds or credentials or anything to like help those people. Like, that's not my goal. I'm not here to like try to help people that are homeless. That's not my background. Like, I'm not the one that's capable, and my whole purpose is like helping homeless people. The whole purpose of the project was to help people that are going through a tough time. And to do that, what I wanted people to see when I started is like, a lot of people like make a lot of excuses for everything. You know those people.
That's something that triggers you.
That's what triggers me. That's a trigger for me. So, and that was part of why I actually started the project. That was one of the reasons I started, was there's an individual that I was mentoring, and it was like excuse after excuse. And one of them, I think, was, well, you have a car. I don't have a car, if I remember correctly. And when I thought of this project, I was like, I don't want people to watch this and be like, well, Mike started with a car. Well, Mike started with $100. I don't have $100. Well, Mike started with $500. I don't have $500. Mike started with a nice apartment. I don't have a nice apartment. Like, I didn't want to hear the excuses. So I was like, I'm going to take that away from you. But it doesn't go, what I learned is it doesn't go away.
I'm going to take that away from you.
If you're an excuse-making motherfucker, you're gonna find something. Well, he had the know-how. He had the know-how. He already no fucking shit. That's the whole point of the project.
And it keeps going. Because
it keeps going.
People would have been like, yeah, like there's some people who said, well,
I did reach out to the Men in Black and see if they could come and like, you know, erase my brain before doing it. Unfortunately, that's just in movies though.
But even then, I saw comments that were saying, well, you didn't have a drug addiction. First, get onto fentanyl, and then try it.
But those are just the people that can't get away from like the whole homeless thing. They interpret it a certain way and you know, I'm not totally on them because they read a headline that said that. Those weren't my headlines. Those were videos intended to go viral, so they read that and they get fixated on that thing, and that's why they're leaving a comment. So,
but even then, I think that explains something interesting about human nature, which is that when you take away all the excuses, you're not solving the problem for them, because they don't actually have a problem. If you're mentoring a kid and he's got all these excuses, or I don't know, I have a friend who thinks there's no good men out there. She can't find someone. I can explain to her with data, with living example. Look at this handsome fella over here. She doesn't want to find a guy. She wants to have that problem. Mm-hmm. Her problem is that solution. And if I take away those excuses, it just makes her feel worse.
Yeah.
The problem oftentimes, as human beings, we like to take this problem and just be like, oh, look at this problem that I have, and look at how beautiful it is, and look at how it's mine, and it's just mine, and nothing can take it away. And there's people like you and I who are like, no, actually you can. And you're picking away the problem, but it's like, no, my beautiful problem, you're taking it away. They don't want to have it taken away because it meets their needs. It meets their needs for just feeling good about themselves, about like, hey, I can stay where I am, and I can stay where I am, and I don't have to feel about not changing. So the problem is the solution. And so something I learned, so when somebody's not receptive to that stuff, don't engage.
Yeah.
They don't want it solved. And so, but it's funny that that's where you started. You started from something that triggered you. It's just like, stop making excuses. Okay, you know what? I'm putting my business on pause. I'm spending a $300K on this. I went all in. Look how far you went because of a trigger.
Look where it got me. Look where it got me. Well, here's the thing though. It was because that trigger, but also I thought that if I could remove that, it would make the person that had those excuses realize like, oh wow, like I can do this. I wanted to try, like my intention was like use my know-how to like share that with people, like whatever know-how I have, share that with people, and then like do this together and also show them like a mindset that like it's okay to fail. This is how things work. Like, and like we're gonna do all that together. That was the intention. So like I didn't want someone to watch that and then be like, oh, he has a car, and like that held them back from trying it for themselves, or like he had this or he had this, and like we just talked about, people still went, oh, well, he has the know-how already, even though, again, the point was to like share that with them. And they are right. Like I know how to do things. So like if they try to do something, they're going to make more mistakes than I will. If they don't have experience, they will make more mistakes, most likely. But the whole point of all of this is to like give someone a roadmap, give someone where they have something, give someone something that's tangible that they can watch and then go do. So,
for example, the Facebook thing. And so this is a street smart thing. This is not something where, okay, he had all this knowledge. Like, I don't know if you have a degree or whatever. Like, I don't have a degree.
I dropped out of college, and then I went back to make my parents happy. They were like, you need to go to college, and they were pissed.
Yeah.
So I started business, completely failed, and
that's funny, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So, but isn't it wild that anyone can do this Facebook thing? Like, it doesn't require a skill in any department. Maybe you got to get comfortable with people on the phone and like sell them a little bit on it, but that's something you can learn very quickly, and it's very simple. And so anyone could make $100 a day on average doing this.
Oh yeah,
Isn't that wild?
I could make $100,000 a year if I just flip stuff easily. If I just flip stuff, it'd be easy to do that.
All you need is a phone.
Yeah,
that is wild.
It is crazy. It is pretty crazy.
Yeah. So at that stage, you then had a way to make money, to build a little nest egg, and then you started applying for jobs. You went to a
Upwork.com.
Upwork.com.
Yeah.
And you were at a co-working space at that time. So
Yes.
you had a place to work, you had a place to sleep, which was the RV. What happened then?
Yeah, so then from there, I was like, okay, now I need to start getting recurring revenue. So I went on Upwork.com and I started just applying to jobs with things that I had no experience with. So like, now I did get like a telemarketing job that wasn't through Upwork. It was through some like random site. I found it on Craigslist. It was like $10 an hour, just like calling and, some random telemarketing stuff. That brought in a little bit of money. But then I went on Upwork and I just started applying to jobs. And I found the first job I got was doing cold calling. $15 an hour. I never cold called in my entire life. I've never cold called.
And again, your resume was just 10 years working at a restaurant, which is a fake resume. New identity.
Yeah, so I never even gave anyone a resume. Like if they asked me what's your experience, I'd be like, I worked at a restaurant for the last 10 years. That's what I would say. And I would try not to bring that up. But I wasn't going to also like say like, oh yeah, I'm doing a project and like I run a business. Like I didn't say any of that stuff. It was just like, what I would do actually on the calls. So when I get someone on a call, I would consult with them and they would almost never ask me a single question. I would just solve their problem. I'd be like, hey, look, you're looking to cold call. Tell me more about that. Like, why are you looking to cold call? What are your goals? X, Y, Z. And they would go through it and I'd be like, great. Well, I can dial. So let's get going. Give me the fucking phone. Let's go. So like close that deal. And that was great because I was getting paid $15 an hour and then I was crushing it on the phone, which was so cool. I was like, holy shit, cold calling really works.
And you had these characteristics because you had built them all the time.
Yes.
And you were also at the same time teaching that stuff on the channel. So somebody who followed the project could actually go and apply what you learned and approach it that way because you would just teach them.
Exactly. So like for me, and when people are like, oh, has the experience, they're right. Like I have confidence to get on a call and like I have confidence I'm going to solve a problem. And this is what all business is solving problems. So, and I have the ability to sell with my words. So like someone watching might not have that ability. And that's a skill set that you have to build. Like they'll have to go and build that skill set. Cause like I'm getting on these calls, I'm closing deals without, having like a ton of problems. But I don't have experience doing the thing. I have experience closing deals, but I don't have experience doing the thing like cold calling. So, that's what I did though. I started cold calling, $15 an hour plus commission. And that went well. I was getting a lot of commission. And then I got another job for $20 an hour doing like a virtual assistant, like MailChimp stuff. I never touched MailChimp in my life. I didn't know how to use it. And I would just like look up YouTube videos on how to use it, which is fine. Like, people think like, oh, I need to be super experienced. You can get really good at something really fast. And what they're paying for is just time. Like they don't want to fucking learn it. So like I would learn it, not bill them for that time. And then once I learned it and implemented it for them, I would bill them. So that was the second contract I got on Upwork. And the third contract was for a law firm. So it was for a law firm working as a virtual assistant to the CEO. And, one of the things he brought up on the call is like, I need help with social media. Like that's one of the jobs I'm going to have you do. So then I just like dug into that because it was his biggest pain point. And after working for him, I don't remember how long, at $25 an hour, I ended up pitching him a $2,000 a month contract. And he said yes, which was so scary. Like that was the scariest thing of the whole project for me, was pitching that $2,000 a month retainer, because
And you didn't have experience with social media.
I didn't have any experience with social media. Clearly.
Because your videos, listen, your videos at the time, how many views were they getting per upload? You were spending $25,000.
Nothing. Like it was crazy. Like I was producing like these YouTube videos, which by the way, this guy, we weren't doing YouTube videos. I had to like do his Instagram stuff. I had no idea how to do that. I had someone doing it for me. I didn't know how to do it for someone else. And they weren't doing a great job, so we weren't getting a lot of views. Like I was live streaming every week, which we can talk about all that stuff, but I was live streaming every single week.
Teaching what you learned.
Teaching what I learned. And I'd be talking to no one. There'd be no one on the live stream except maybe like 1 or 2 people. And I was in my head, I'm like, I didn't care. It didn't faze me at all. I'm like, this might go viral and people might watch these live streams. It'll be really valuable. So I'm going to just do it. But there was no one watch. While I was doing the project, no one watched it except a couple people. And what's crazy, those couple people, I still keep in touch with them today because they just got a free mentor every day. Like every day that there was a live stream or a post to go out, they'd message me and I'd respond. And one of them built a business that's doing, multiple 6 figures, and another one's doing multiple 7 figures in revenue. And he was like the only guy on the live stream every day. I was just coaching him for free every freaking live stream.
How many views did each video get?
I don't know. It was bad.
At the time. Was it 100 views? Was it less than 100 views?
I don't remember. What I do remember is telling the team, like, guys, don't worry. Like, the way YouTube works is things eventually just pop off. Like, don't worry. But it was bad. It was like hundreds. I think like we'd get pumped if a video hit 1,000. Like so excited. Like, holy shit, it's got 1,000 views.
But that's $25,000 spent.
Yes.
And you bending over backwards.
Oh yeah.
Managing your team, hustling to make money, documenting it. Maybe also trying to check in with your old business. Hey, is that still running, by the way?
Yeah, I had to do that. I had to do a little bit of that.
Like, that is insane. And so if people look at your channel now, they'll see that you have 76,000 subscribers. It was after I made the video about you.
What they don't know is 75,000 came from your video.
Yes.
I think it was a little bit less, but like literally I think I got like 70,000 subs from your video.
Man, that is brutal.
Yeah.
Like, if I think about that moment that you must have been in where you're doing a virtual assistant job for a lawyer, doing some social media stuff that you have no idea about. Meanwhile, you're documenting the thing on video with a shooter and an editor, and you spend $25,000 a month there. And you have a business running that you also want to check in with and just like, hey, is that still running, by the way? That you can't use any of these resources. The YouTube channel is not getting views. And then the team, you had to hire new people on your
that was one of the most brutal parts. Is like there was some people that really let me down, and they just sucked at what they did, and that sucked. That was not fun. Like imagine trying to do all this, trying to make $1 million, trying to run a team, and then like people are getting fired or being offboarded because they're not doing what you need them to do, and you're also trying to like eat that same day, but you don't have money to like take the bus home and eat. But yeah, that was one of the worst parts of the project. But getting back to like I was talking about how I was scared when I was pitching that retainer. That was probably the scariest thing I did in the whole project. Like it wasn't going homeless. What wasn't any of that. It wasn't sleeping on the street or being like I might not be able to eat for the week. It was pitching that $2,000 a month retainer because I was getting paid $25 an hour. That was a huge chunk of my income, and I was going to take the risk of saying, "Hey, I want to get rid of this and let's do $2,000 a month." By doing that, I was like, I risked this person saying no and then potentially even firing me. So that was like, I remember being like, I really hope he goes for this. $2,000 a month retainer. He says yes. I was like, oh, thank God. So that was such a good moment because it was like $2,000 a month is now coming in every month that is recurring, that I know is coming in every single month unless I screw this up. And I got that contract, and then I got a $3,000 a month retainer. I lost that retainer after a month. So I hired someone, and the person did a pretty bad job. It was my fault though for hiring him, and the client lost, trust in us, and they they fired us, but we still made, you know, $3,000. I just thought we were going to get consistently $3,000 a month. So that was that. And then, you know, I took that money, and the money that I made from that, I was like, you know, at this point, it's maybe month 2 or 3 or something. I don't remember. Maybe it's a little bit earlier. I really don't. It may have been like month 1 at this point. I can't remember the time frame. So it's been like almost 4 years or something, 3 years, which is crazy. But then I was like, I need to start an e-commerce business if I actually want to make $1 million, because I can put ad spend behind it and just blow it up, and it'll be the easiest way most realistic way to make $1 million. That's what was going through my head. So I was like, how do I find something that I can sell? And my thought was, why don't I just go to a local like farmer's market and just see someone that already has a good product and repackage it in a way to make it go like super viral. And I think I was doing like a lot of research, and I found a company called, I think it's called Grounds and Hounds. And they were like a coffee for dog lovers. And I was like, this is perfect. Like it was, you know, branded, and they gave a percentage to charity, you know, which I love. Like, you know, I love dogs. And I ended up finding a coffee roaster that was really good at the farmer's market. So it aligned with that. And their coffee was really, 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 really good. And I talked to the person. I was like, I'd love to partner with you. I'd love to sell your coffee, and I'm going to brand it as like this coffee for dog lovers. And they were totally on board. So now I didn't need to pay for all this, you know, inventory up front, because I was doing drop shipping. Every time I'd get a sale, that person would ship the coffee. All I needed to do was get stickers and coffee bags. So I just get the stickers, throw them on the coffee bag, give it to this guy, and then every time I get an order, he ships it. So very low cost to get started. I invested, you know, some money that I made from that into doing that. And then, you know, at one point, like the RV, Isaac wanted to sell it. So I helped him. I got really good at selling shit on Facebook. So I helped him sell his RV.
Isaac, the guy that you stayed for 2 months with.
Yeah, the guy I stayed 2 months with. And then I moved into like a room with this other dude, for like $300 a month. And, you know, this was another thing that was like, I wouldn't have done if I wasn't doing the project. So I pulled off something I call a rent hack. So you were talking about tangible things. Like through my mind, I'm going, okay, what are tangible things I can show people while I'm doing this? And one of these things that anyone can go do tomorrow is rent hacking. And what rent hacking is you find a property, and I don't know if people have a term for this. I just call it rent hacking. Rent hacking to me is when you go find a property, you lease out the property, and you ask, you know, the owner or the landlord or the property manager, can I re-rent the rooms? Can I sublet it? If they say yes, then you go do that. So I rented a property for $2,000 a month, and then I re-rented each room for $900 a month each. It was a 4-bedroom. So 900 times 4, $3,600 a month. So make $1,600 a month in profit. And part of the rules are I have the worst credit score in the world. So I can't sign a lease there. I'm not allowed to do that. I need a co-signer. So at the very beginning of the project, I posted in a Facebook group about like starting like an e-com house, like a house for like e-com founders. And there was a guy that I connected with, and we became friends, just like through like, you know, messaging on my fake Facebook profile. And I hit him up. I was like, hey, I found this property. Do you want to co-sign it with me? He's like, send me the deal. And I showed it to him, and he's like, sure. And I was like, all I need you to do is co-sign. You'll get 20%. That's all I need. I don't need you to put down payment, no money. I'm going to do all that. You just need to put your signature on this, which is literally in hindsight, it's not hindsight, reality, the best deal this guy could possibly get. Cause I actually have like an 800 credit score. So there's no real value in the real world that he was really adding, but for the project I had to do that. So did that, he signs it. And, then I rent out all the rooms. Now, what I initially was going to do was rent out 3 of the rooms and live in 1. That was my original plan, was rent out 3 of the rooms, $2,700 a month total, minus the $2,000 cost. I'd make $700 and live in the 4th bedroom for free in an e-commerce house. And the thought behind that was, now I'm going to have 3 people. I could potentially partner with these people, and I'm going to be in this community of these people and live with these people. And then I'm also going to have events. I was going to like invite people to the place and have events and stuff. And then I was going to build all this credibility from nothing, where like I'm the e-com house guy, and like build a community around that.
It's also funny, real quick, putting together an e-com house, just by adding that benefit, you could charge more rent.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can get this place. Anything. Yeah, you can get this place
for gardening. That like doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah,
you love gardening. This is the gardener's house.
Yeah, but even like let's say for example, e-com specifically there because there's an entrepreneur idea behind it and there's an ROI, more of a tangible ROI behind it. A place may be worth $1,000 a month, but man, if you put me in there with a bunch of other e-commerce entrepreneurs, I'm happy to pay 50% extra.
Oh yeah,
because I'll make it back in my business. So there's another idea, right?
Yeah.
So comments were saying, you got someone to co-sign the lease. Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, his name's Andrew. I make fun of him to this day because I'm friends with him now. Because I think
you revealed your real identity.
Yeah, Well, I forget if by the end of the project he either found out or I revealed it to him, and we did like a call, like on a video where I reveal it to him, and it's funny because like he invited me to his party like a couple months ago, and like when he introduces me to people, he's like, "This motherfucker I co-signed a lease with while he was homeless." So it's like, Andrew, maybe you got to like do a little bit better of like vetting people.
Oh man, the comments are just it's not fair, Mike.
No, it's all. But here's the thing: I don't get mad about. I love the comments. I love the negative comments.
But you co-signed the lease. That was again smart move. Like it doesn't require it just requires resourcefulness. It doesn't require like previous knowledge. There's people that are saying like, oh, it's all about education. You had the education, so that's not something you learn in college. That's not something you learn in high school. Like no matter where you are.
Today, class, we're going to talk about rent hacking. Rent hacking 101 with Professor Lloyd.
Dude, I know so many creators who are desperately looking, for video editors, for thumbnail designers. And listen, I know a guy in Nepal who's charging, I don't know how much he's charging, $100 an hour for video editing. I can't afford him, but he's got plenty of clients.
Yeah.
He's in Nepal. Is it because he's had a great education? I don't think so. He learned editing online, just like $100 an hour in Nepal. Like no creator is going to ask for your resume, right?
Yeah,
so there's unlimited things like that out there. But who are we to tell people?
Yeah, I mean, what that
we have it so good.
What that dude did is he found a skill set that's really valuable and he got good at it.
Yeah, and
that's all you need to do.
Learn it online.
You don't fucking learn how to edit fucking videos in a classroom. Like those are all bullshit. Like if you're going to school for video editing, go on fucking YouTube and then watch videos and then start editing videos. Like that's how you get good at doing that. That's how you get good at anything. You don't learn in a classroom. There's some things you need to go to school for. Law degrees. You need to go to school if you want to be a doctor. Like all that stuff. Like sure, you got to go to school for that. But like everything else, you don't.
Street smarts.
Yeah, it's experience. So do the thing.
That's one of the tangible things you did. You then started the e-commerce brand.
Yeah, so that was Bark and Bailey. That was the coffee brand for dog lovers, and then pulled the rent hack off. Mm-hmm. So this is where it kind of takes a major turn.
So by that point, we're 3 months in, 4 months in?
I don't remember. I want to say it was like 3 months.
What was the amount? Your goal was $1 million in a year?
Goal was $1 million in a year. I'm on month 3, and what I have lined up at this point is like, I have those gigs, and then I have the $3,000 a month in $2,000 a month in profit from like the social media stuff, which I did hire someone, I think, and paid him like a couple $100 a month or something. But I have like, about $2,000 a month coming in, and then I have the ecom brand actually was making money, a little bit, very little bit. Like it wasn't good, but the rent hack was $1,600 a month. So in this point, profit wise, I'm probably making like $3,600 a month, something like that. Which, by the way, not impressed. Like when people comment like, oh, whatever about like, we'll say like where I'm at by month 3, I feel like if I did it again and I did a lot differently in 90 days, I would expect myself to be past that within a month.
I mean, even imagine you genuinely did it with nothing. You did it without a production team that you have to fire and hire people. Like I can't even imagine how much of a headache that must have been.
Yeah, it sucked.
That plus you also had to check in with your old business. You had so many. Not only did you start from nothing, you started with liabilities. You started with okay, I have this team that I got to take care of that make sure that they document this thing, and I also got to check in with that my business is still running. People don't understand that.
Yeah.
People don't. People think. I remember when I hadn't had an employee yet, and I was just like, oh, once I can hire someone, they'll just do the work for me. That's so easy, dude. That's when the
work like
real.
that.
That's when the real work starts. That's the
Yeah.
most difficult thing.
Yeah.
Is finding the right people and hiring them and managing them and being a good leader like that. Like same thing when you see like I don't know like a millionaire who like he just sold his business for $100 million and then he gives like 10 million to his employees spread out, and everyone's like, what? He kept 90 million and they did all the work. It's like, you don't know how this works.
Yeah.
You don't know how this works. I wish everyone could be in a position where you're at the top and you're hiring everyone, and you will get punched in the face repeatedly, so badly, because human beings are very difficult.
Yeah.
It's the most difficult part of any business. It's every business's bottleneck is human resources, every single one. And so anyone that can't find a job, you must really suck, or you're not willing to do jobs that you don't like. But anyways, so what were the bad events that happened then?
Yeah. So,
Curveballs.
yeah. So I mean, this is the major curveball. So I started July 10th, and this is, I can't remember, but it's either the end of October or the very beginning of November. I get a call from my mom, like freaking out that, you know, my dad is sick. And, you know, my mom's like she's crazy. She like worries about everything and stuff. So
She's a mom.
yeah, she's a mom. So like, I didn't believe it was bad until like I talked to my dad, and I was like, holy shit, like what is going on? And, I like saw the test results. Like I had him send me the test results from like blood work he did. And I was like, oh my God. And then the next day after like seeing this, it was, you know, he said that it was like, he made it like it was no big deal. He's like, yeah, he had something called a CEA on he said, they think I could have colon cancer. I looked at something called a CEA, which is like a blood marker for colon cancer. And if you get a CEA done, it's like, I think the number's 14. If it's above 14, that's an indicator that like you might have colon cancer. Like if you got that blood work done, it was 14, they'd be like, holy shit, we need to do like a colonoscopy. So I look at this and it was like 3,400. That was the CEA. And I was like, I just like freaked out. Like I was just freaking the fuck out. And I mean, it turned out to be true. Like my dad played it off like super, you know, like, you know, he does. He just played it off like it wasn't a big deal. And then, you know, turns out it's stage 4, and, you know, doctors saying 12 to 18 months is what we were told. So this all just happens. I'm like, I didn't even care about the project anymore. I'm like, you know, so I'm going to promise not to try to get emotional.
Why not? Go for it.
Yeah. So that like, that was like devastating. So then, you know, I get that news and I'm like, holy shit, what am I going to do? And so like when that all, you know, happened, what's running through my head is like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. You know, I'm going to move home. But I didn't know yet that it was stage 4. Like I didn't know like initially, but I was like almost certain, because like they didn't do the PET scan. They didn't do like, I guess the PET scan yet. It wasn't confirmed. It was definitely stage 4 at this point, but the CEA was so high, and the doctor's like, we are starting chemo like immediately. They weren't going to do scans. They were just going to start chemo. And I was like, holy, like this is so bad. And then again, like however long it took, it was finally like confirmed it was stage 4. I had a friend who worked in the cancer unit at Penn, and he was like, you know, I like kind of didn't believe the doctor. I was like, you know, this is a fucking doctor. Like I need more, you know, opinions and stuff. And then I talked to my friend in the cancer unit, and he was like, yeah, like, he's like, I see this all the time. And, he was like, yeah, like, he just told me straight up, it's like 12 to 18 months. He's like, that's like really like pretty accurate. And sorry, I was gonna warn you before I might get emotional.
Yeah. No worries, man.
I remember being like, the video team was waiting on me when I like found this out initially, and just being just so none of this mattered anymore. But I also had to like focus on like, okay, well maybe this maybe it's not true. You know, I didn't know anything about cancer. I didn't know, you know, like is this actually beatable? But I'm looking up on Google, and it's like, you know, the chances of like surviving stage 4 colon cancer are like abysmal. So, you know, now I need to like figure out what to do. So it took me like all day to tell my girlfriend at the time. She's the first person I told before, like, you know, telling the team about it, because, you know, these people, like, the way I was kind of thinking is like, they just joined this project. Like, I told them I was all in on this, and you know, I was gonna go all in on it, and like they decided to trust me, and you know, do this project, and they worked super hard. It wasn't just me working hard. Like, you know, they worked hard. I just want to be home, be with my dad, figure out how you know, like, how we're gonna beat this. I told the team about it, and yeah, that was really that was really hard to do. I couldn't even talk. Like, similar, like right now, I need to take pauses. I couldn't talk, so like, you know, my girlfriend at the time had to, you know, explain everything, a lot of it initially. Everyone was super supportive, which, you know, I expected that to be the case. You know, they're all really good people, so they're like, hey, we'll support you however you want to continue this project. And I truly just wanted to end the project. I didn't want to do the project anymore at this point.
You want me to talk for you?
No. You know, my dad followed the project,
And he wanted you to continue.
Yeah.
I mean, even just from the things that I've heard about your dad, he's like, that man is unstoppable. Unstoppable joy, right? Just never gives up, brushes things off. And that's what I see in you, you know? It's like, he gave you all these qualities. Like, you spend $25K a month on this project. You don't get any views. You get all this hate. You just keep going. And that's what I admire so much about you, you know?
Yeah. Well, that was it. Like, you know, he didn't want me to stop. And I felt like stopping the project, like, he would be upset, you know, if I stopped doing the project, because, you know, and I didn't want to put that on him, you know, because obviously I would have been stopping because of, you know, his illness. So so he was you know, he was the main reason I didn't end it. And, you know, it was like really, you know, that part was like a tough decision for me, because it's like, man, like, I really just want to spend time with him. I don't know how much, you know, time he has, but at the same time, if I quit, if I stop doing this, you know, he's gonna feel bad. So,
and he just wanted you to live, just go out there and do your thing, and like, keep crushing it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where it takes a turn for the worse. And that was a lot. That was a lot to deal with. You know, during the project, it was a really, you know, but here's the thing, like, this is life, right? Like, this happens. People get cancer. People pass away from cancer. It's like, I think 40% of people get cancer. So, this happens. Like, and usually when people get terminal cancer, it happens, and it happens fast when you have stage 4. So I'm not the only one that goes through this, unfortunately. A lot of people, experience this, but unfortunately for my dad, it was very advanced. It was extremely advanced. He had it in his colon. It was in his lungs. It was in his bones. Like, he had what's called mets. It was in his liver. And I just from there I was like, I need to like spend all my time like researching. So I joined like tons of Facebook groups, and I talked to dozens and dozens and dozens of people that had stage 4 cancer to see like, okay, what did they do that, we might be able to do? And, what I learned very quickly is like, when cancer is that advanced, the key to beating cancer is don't get late stage cancer.
Prevention.
That's like, yeah.
With most of things.
It's not even just prevention. Prevention's obviously like, is one thing, but it's like stage 1 is curable in a lot of cases. It's very high probability of curing. Stage 4, when it's really advanced, is very, very tough, depending on how advanced it is. So it's a tough spot, very bad cards. And, at the end of the day, again, this is life. This happens. And a lot of these things that happened to my dad, it's his fault. He never got colonoscopies. He didn't prioritize his health. He was told over and over again, get a colonoscopy, and he did. His sister, so in colon cancer, there's stage 0. Stage 0 is polyps. And if you have stage 0, they scrape the polyps out. Like, if you're just getting your routine colonoscopy, his sister had stage 0. They have polyps. So now she goes every 3 years and they scrape out the polyps. My dad didn't do that. Like, he didn't do that. And, he ate like his whole life. He didn't take care of himself. And, so like, it's crazy because I had talked to him 5 years before. I sat down with him 5 years before he got diagnosed. And similar to here, it was super emotional. It was the first time I was emotional in front of my dad as a man, which is, a vulnerable state. It wasn't fun. But his best friend, who was like an uncle, passed away, like suddenly. And I had sat down with him and was like, this is going to happen to you. Like, and I was just super emotional. I was like, this is going to happen to you. You don't take care of yourself. I just said, pretty much said, like, please take care of yourself. And at that time, I didn't understand cancer or any of these things. I just knew he ate like shit, didn't go to the gym. So in a sense, it was like predictable that this was going to happen. Like, I literally sat down with him 5 years ago and was like, before he got diagnosed, it was like, please, like, fucking change, like, lose weight, like, eat healthy. But, he did make some changes, but he didn't do enough. And that stuff isn't forgiving, So, the biggest lesson I learned from all of that, and like, the things that I'm grateful for because of that, it's like I can share that with other people. It's like prioritize your health. And it's not just about eating clean or eating healthy and exercising. You should do that, but you should also be aware of what kills human beings. Cancer, heart disease. Like, go to the doctor, get your blood work done, go like get the test that you're supposed to be getting. Like, once you're 40 years old, get a colonoscopy. Like, do not do that. Like, and there's things that are popping up now, like Ezra. It's a full body MRI. They're like $2,000. Do that shit. Like, do that. Stay on top of that shit. Like, there's not, like, and don't just like listen to your fucking doctor. Do your own research. Your doctor's not going to say, go get a full body MRI. They're not going to say that. But like, if you go talk to someone who, the dozens and dozens of people that I talk to that, got stage 4 colon cancer, they would pay $20 million to fucking go and get a full body MRI if they had the opportunity to do that before they, when they had stage 1, because they could have cured it. So like you have to like learn these things and do these things. And you know, that's I think like, you know, the good in some of the stuff that happened from the experience is just like learning about like what kills people and how to stay on top of it. And then, you know, I share all this with my friends, and I'm going to start making a lot of content about it too, because it's not hard. It's like actually really basic. So yeah, that's where the project takes a super bad turn. So I move home, and then I try to continue the project, you know, from Philadelphia, and it was tough because you know now I add to my plate that I don't have shooters in person anymore to handle all that stuff. I have to do it now because my shooters are in Austin, and you
still have the editors.
I still have the editors. But I also am like researching cancer nonstop and talking to all these people, and like I don't really care about the the project very much now.
The result of getting to $1 million.
Yeah. And here's the truth. Because I don't want to make like excuses about like not hitting $1 million. I don't know if I would have hit the $1 million. And the whole point of the project wasn't to hit $1 million. It was a vanity metric. The whole point of this was showing people you can reinvent yourself. You can get back on your feet. You can build that business you've been saying you want to build. You just need to do it. And that was the point of the project. With that being said, like even before my dad got cancer, I went on like a podcast called Mixergy. And he had said like, he asked me, he's like, I forget how much I had done in revenue. He's like, are you worried about people are going to think about that? And I was like, one, I don't give a fuck what people think. But secondly, yeah, like this is disappointing to me. I thought I'd be doing way better at this point. So if all that didn't happen, I don't know if I would have hit the $1 million. It's definitely not like an excuse at all. And if I did it all over again, I don't know if I'd hit $1 million. But I do know if I did it all over again, and you know, during that project, I'd get on my feet and I could like build momentum and build something, whatever that may be. And it might take more than 12 months, but I could get something to $1 million. It just might take, you know, a little bit longer.
So from there, let's wrap up the whole timeline of the $1 million comeback project. You moved back home. You had another thing on your plate, looking after your dad, doing all this research, wanting to spend time with him, obviously. And the project was still going on. Everything was still in the background. You were still paying money for your team. So, what are like the big events? And then just maybe like wrap it up in a few minutes. Yeah. Like what happened until the end, and how much did you end up actually making? And where did the project end?
You're going to have to ask that again, because I started laughing. So I was just thinking about me crying. And the beginning of this video, like if you wanted to go viral, is going to be like, there's 34 million people saying how much you suck on Twitter, and then you cut to me like crying.
No, I'm not going to do that.
You should do that.
That would be taking it out of context.
No, you should do that though.
That would be taking it so much out of context that people will be like, yo, he cut this together in a way that's like, it's not accurate.
Oh, I see. Okay. Right. That would be good though. That would get people to watch.
I love how you're like thinking about that now.
So I ended a little bit early. I ended at month 10. So I think, so I ended up getting like super sick. I have an autoimmune disease, and
another curveball. You got really sick.
Yeah. So I've had an autoimmune disease since 2018. That's when I first was like diagnosed. So it causes like chronic fatigue and like pain in my joints. And I think the stress, not of the project, but of my dad, the stress of like what was happening with like the cancer, it could have like, what's the word?
Aggravated it?
Yeah. It like activated it to like a really extreme level. So like once I moved back to Philly to be closer with family, and I changed all the rules and did all that stuff, it was like hard for me to get out of bed because I was so tired. And like every night I'd lay down and just pain in my joints. So part of that I think was also
on top of everything else.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing, real quick comment. Of course it was also the stress from the project. Yeah,
obviously that added in some form of stress, but then it was that thing with my dad, it was like 1,000,000 times worse. And with, so what I also learned after the project, like if I eat I eat the most I eat dog food pretty much. Like I eat like you would, it's hard to eat what I eat. Like it's really restrictive. And I'm totally good for the most part when I do that. I don't get any pain. I don't get like crazy fatigue. I learned that after the project. So part of the food also did. But anyways, so I ended it at month 10 because it was just, I was feeling like absolute shit. And I was like, this isn't worth it. I just wanted to focus on this and like spend time with Dad. So overall, when I ended at month 10, I think I did $65,000 in revenue. And yeah, that's where we ended at, which is like terrible. $65,000 in revenue.
The question I asked in the video when I made it was, did you prove that you can pick yourself up?
Did I prove that anyone can make $1 million in 12
That
months with a
definitely
phone?
you did prove. Right? That is my clickbaity title. That is me. All shame goes on me. But that anyone can, with your intention was to show that, hey, you can pick yourself up, that anyone can pick themselves up. Because here's the thing, some of the comments are like, boo-hoo, so your dad got cancer, you got a taste of real life. Like, now you see what it's really like. As if you had an easy, cushy life. Like, as if you like grew up rich and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, these are the comments that we got. And it's
well, like those comments, like, again, these comments don't make me angry. I feel bad for the person when people say stuff like that. It's like,
when he decides, here's another comment. When he decides to just give up being poor, I felt that.
Yeah. Like, I love those comments. So when someone says something, the stupidest comments, and when it's like, oh, like life got real, and then he had to like take care of, his dad 'cause he had cancer, or like take care of his disease or whatever the case is. Like, it's like, well, first off, I had enough money to support myself. I didn't have to like go back to certain things. But like, yeah, I want to spend time with my dad. Like, that makes no sense. Like, it's just like, feel like that is just brain dead. Like, totally brain dead.
You stopped the project because of your health.
Yeah. Yeah.
How was your health after that?
Yeah. So it was a roller coaster. I spent so much money just like trying to get into remission. I went to all these different like functional doctors and stuff, and I changed my diet. I was eating healthy before. Like, I was never an unhealthy person, but I realized that gluten was a big factor for me. So like, if I go eat gluten right now, I'll get really bad pain. But I don't eat gluten, so I fully cut that out. I really just eat like animal products that are organic, meaning like no hormones and crap, and fruits and vegetables that are organic. And as long as I do that, I'm pretty much good. Like, there's some other things I can't eat. Like, I can't drink coffee, can't eat gluten. What else? I can't eat like acidic foods. I get bad reflux. I have great genetics, by the way. But other than that, I've been really good. But it was just like tons of research to like learn all this stuff. It was like a lot of research. And as long as I don't eat those foods, I'm like solid.
Yeah. But that took you, that was a journey as well.
Yeah, that took like years to figure all that out.
So how do we end the project? You spent $300,000.
Yeah, $300K.
So much opportunity lost in your business that you left behind. How many subscribers did you have by the end?
So I don't remember the exact amount, but it was literally, I think, like 2,300. I think
2,300 subscribers.
By the end of the project, I think I had 2,300 subs.
And, well, I don't think we have shared it yet, but your dad ended up passing
away.
Yeah,
so he passed away. They said 18 months in October. Whenever I learned, either end of October, beginning of November, they said like 12 to 18 months, and it ended up being about 18 months.
Yeah. And your autoimmunes flared up. And you got really sick.
Yeah.
Like, this is where I get so furious at comments like this, or even just like now, this new Twitter post with 34 million views, and people just like, oh, like, you were in the arena. You spent all this money. You left all these opportunities behind. You went through the ringer, had all this horrible shit happen to you with good intentions and a positive impact, because there were people that you mentored, and there were people who now became successful because you basically mentored them, and still you're being on like this. Like, this, man, this.
I like the hate comments though. Like, none of that gets me. Like, I think it's like, I love the hate comments. Like, it makes me happy.
There were a few more stories that you told me after the project that happened. For example, with Isaac, you reached out to him, right? The guy who let you stay in the RV, because you were like, okay, I can reveal my real identity now. Tell us about those stories. Yeah.
So with Isaac, we planned on like, okay, let's do this cool reveal. I had bought him a MacBook Air. My business did, and I was going to gift him the MacBook Air. Like, after the project as a thank you, I was going to give him 2 tickets to Germany, because he was like super into Germany. He really wanted to go to Germany.
Who's into Germany? What?
But he kept talking about how he wanted to go to Germany. And when I sold the RV, helped him sell the RV, he's a really private guy. He like has an iPhone, but he didn't use his iPhone. He used like a flip phone type deal. And I texted him a couple times and he just didn't respond. And I was planning on like following up with him, and then my dad gets cancer. So, you know, the whole thing with Isaac, I just haven't, he hasn't responded. I think at this point, there's been so much coverage on this, like someone has to have told him at this point, like about this project. So I would still love to give him a MacBook Air.
So you have it ready?
I gave it to my sister, but I'll get him a new one. Like I'll have a MacBook Air for him.
Isaac, if you're seeing this, reach out. You helped this man out massively.
Yeah. And also he showed like, you know, what you can do when you help a stranger. Like it's crazy. He had nothing to gain and everything to lose by helping someone he didn't know. And he did it. Now, not saying you should go, you know, let a random homeless person live with you. That's maybe a little bit dangerous, but you know, so I think that's pretty cool. After the project though, I did end up getting scammed by a follower. I don't know if I told you about that, but
what happened?
That was super funny.
You went minus even more.
Yeah. Minus even more, $2,300. So I'm just an idiot. Like tons of people would reach out. I'd always try to respond. And this one guy made up this whole story and he just kept lying and lying and lying and lying. But I like believed him.
Was he asking for help?
Yeah, he was asking for help, but he initially never asked for money. So that was what screwed me. Is like, I was like, dude, you know what? Let me give you a loan, but you're going to pay this back. It's going to be a loan. I'm not giving it to you. And then, but the whole intention was from this guy the whole time to do this. And then he just kept making up all these stories. And I'd give him more money and more money and more money. And then eventually he made up this whole story. Like he would make up crazy fucked up stories. Like he made up that he knew that my dad had cancer. So he made up that his dad had cancer and like all this stuff. Then his dad passed away. Like that's how fucked up this guy was. Oh. But he made up this story about like how he, like got in an accident outside of like this gas station, had to go to the hospital. And I was like, what hospital are you at? And cause I thought he was lying. And I called the hospital. Well, sorry, I didn't think he was lying initially. I actually had one of my friends go to where the scene happened and ask the person if this happened. And they said no. And then I showed it to like one of my employees, and he just started laughing. He's like, dude, this guy's scamming you. And I was like, you think so? I was like, I'm an idiot. You're probably right. And then, then like I called the hospital the claim he was at, that he was never there. And then I realized this guy was stealing, like, you know, scammed me out of $2,300. But yeah, so that was a funny story, like after the project. But what was really cool, I can't remember if this was during the project or after. And you talked about this on your channel, is when, this kid reached out to me, and he, you know, there's a lot of people that reach out and they're like, hey, like you really helped me with business. Thanks so much. Like, and they'd be really like grateful. Which by the way, we're talking a lot about like the negative people. There's a lot of really fucking awesome people. Like I have like it's amazing the amount of like love people have given the project, and like how kind people have been. Like I should shine a light a little bit more on that. Like I've gotten so many good DMs, and so many people are like so grateful for it. And I really appreciate those people. But this person reached out and was like, hey, I really want to talk to you. You changed my life. And I thought that this person was, you know, going to say like he started a business or whatever the case was. And, you know, he gets on this, get on a call with him, and we go to, you know, chat, and like instantly, like right off the bat, he just starts crying. He's like, dude, I was going to kill myself. And I came across your content, and it just like completely changed my perspective. And you know, I got emotional on the call. I was like, holy shit. Like I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy f-. And you know, I remember saying to him, I was like, I don't know what stupid video I put out, but I'm so glad I did. And you know, at the time I was like blown away by that. But then it made a lot of sense when I thought about it more later. Is like, you know, this is about starting over and like changing yourself and like, you know, going after it. And, you know, you can change your life in any way. It doesn't matter where you're at. And that's true.
Getting hit in the face over and over again and just keep going.
And keep going. And that's totally true. Like it's 100% true. Doesn't matter what you're going through right now. You can change that. You can completely change the trajectory of your life. And whatever I put out, like this person saw a certain video or a series of videos and it clicked for him. And that was cool. And then, you know, I actually met up with him in person this year, and he's killing it. Like he ended up raising a ton of money for a business he started. And I'm just like so grateful you put out the video, because then you put out your video and you talked about that. And when you talked about that, it gave permission to people to reach out about that. And I'm not like a depression expert or I've truly in my life, like, have not experienced what I think depression is. Like, I don't get depressed. I get sad. Things make me sad. Like I was just crying about, you know, thinking about, a situation with my dad, but I don't get depressed. Like I'm not like, oh, I'm so sad I can't get out of bed. Like I don't have that. And you know, I'm fortunate not to have ever have dealt with that. But so I don't have the credentials there, and I don't have like a background in being able to help people with that. But what I realized through all the people that reached out that were dealing with depression or like suicidal thoughts was those people, what was really cool is just giving them someone to listen and being able to sit there and listen and, not really talk much other than like, hey, like you're going through a tough time. Those people just wanted someone to listen. And, you know, your video gave people permission to reach out for that. And, you know, my advice usually on those calls is like, we'll talk through those things. And what I will help them with is to realize what they're dealing with is a temporary problem. It's a very temporary problem. In a lot of cases, a lot of people I talk to, it's not always the case. And then I just say like, you need to seek help. Like you need to go talk to someone. Cause you know, I'm not cut out to help you with this, but you know, that's been the coolest thing. Like, and I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting the project to lead to that, but that's been like, I've had people reach out. I'm like, Mike, thank you so much. Like my business just crossed $1 million for the first time. It's all because of you. Like I get those messages all the time. Not $1 million. Some of them are like, I made my first 50K. I'm making $200,000. Like we hit 200,000, but sometimes it is $1 million. Sometimes it is more than $1 million. And that's awesome. Like that. I'm like, yeah, but someone saying like, I was going to kill myself and I didn't because of this. And like knowing that I had that impact, it's so much crazier to me. Like that is like, for me, that feels, it's incomparable. Like that's so awesome compared to the, you know, the people reaching out saying like, hey, like I make 6 figures now from my business. Like that's been the coolest thing. I wasn't expecting it. So I have you to thank for that. Cause you know, if it wasn't for your video, I wouldn't have given permission to people to like, you know, reach out.
Looking back, would you say it was worth it?
100%, like 110%. I wish I didn't do it during the time I did it because of the situation with my dad, but.
And COVID.
No, COVID's fine. Like doing it during COVID was fine.
That's when it was needed.
I've thought about it so much. It's so hard to not just tomorrow do it again. Like go homeless, record everything. I do it a lot differently. But do it all over, record it. And I really, really, really want to do it again because I know I can make significantly more in a short period of time, which I don't care to like prove anything to anyone or anything like that, or even prove anything to myself. I just want people to like that are watching that can see that and maybe gets in front of more people because it does better. And then they realize, holy shit, I can do this too. And here's a framework. And I think the framework I put out tomorrow would be better than the framework I put out yesterday or 3 to 4 years ago. Because I've learned a lot in the last 3 to 4 years.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you got something out of it. Let us know in the comments what you think. I'll see you in the next one. Stay driven.